Okay, and we are live. Welcome, everybody, to our 16th, believe it or not, our 16th Take It Up a Notch live webinar, where we have a solemn promise that if you don't get your money's worth, we will give you your money's back. That's my joke. Everybody say hello. Tell me where you are, as usual, or stay silent. We have a special guest presenter with us today. We have Sarah Duncan, who's was Sarah Pfeffer, who built a very successful photography business called Sarah Pfeffer. She changed to Duncan, but the business still remains Sarah Pfeffer. So she will be joining us very shortly. Okay, Brocha, hi. Just everyone shout out where you are. Baltimore, there you go. Just so we know how much of the globe we are covering. It was a what's the word? A slower turnout. I don't know if that's the right word. A lesser turnout this week. I'm not quite sure why, but less people uploaded pictures, so we might finish a job earlier than usual. Hanny from Manchester. Hi, Hanny. Okay, that's 2 continents. Sarah from Chicago. Hi, Hannah from RBS. Hunters have been here for months. Okay, so nice to have you here, Brocha. We're going to still wait for a minute for Sarah to pop in. And Leah Kalmus from London. Hi. You asked me to look at your pictures because you're running out. That's fine. And then I looked at your picture, and it's from my nephew's bar mitzvah. Were you aware that that's my nephew? That was my nephew, Yeshaya Rinkoff. Are you aware of that? I thought that was really funny. Okay. Yes. Okay. There you go. You didn't mention it in your email, so I thought that was really funny. Yael from Gateshead. Okay. Chaim, what's up, Chaim? How you doing? Nice to see your name. Suri from Montreal. That's great. Wow. Anyone from Russia? I'm just joking. We'll wait for another few moments just for some more people to come in. More people from Gateshead. That's great. Okay. Yix Picks. Jolie from Toronto. Wow, it's great. We've got the whole world here as usual. We're from Switzerland as well. All over the States, all over England. 1 second. We'll keep just waiting for a few more people. It's 9:03. So Hasidish time, if we said 9 o'clock, which is 2 Eastern time, Hasidish time would mean, depends what Hasidus. Some Hasiduses would start at say 12, but or at least 5 minutes late. Shalom from Staten Island. Shalom. Okay, welcome from Staten Island. Anybody else want to pipe up? Yocheved isn't Hasidish. She actually really is Hasidish. She just pretends that she isn't. You're right, she isn't here. But today we don't have Yocheved with us. She's busy doing some kind of making some kind of show. So we have 1 second. You know, the for the only ones doing the able that function. Yeah, nice one. Yeah, I've heard similar jokes to that before. But so we have Sarah Duncan, like I said. I'm not quite sure what's happened to her. She did come in before and then she popped away. Denver and Denver. Oh, 2 people. Wow. Sarah's from Denver and Sarah's from Denver. I'm just joking. We're going to miss you, Yocheved. But like I said, we have Sarah Duncan here, who I actually began my photography career with. I wish she was here right now, but she disappeared into cyberspace. Poof, just like that. Maybe I'll try and phone her and see what happened. I hope she turns up. One moment, please, everyone. Sorry about the unprofessionalness of this, but that's just how it goes sometimes. In the meantime, let me share my screen and we will start. We have Rivka on have you spell her name? Yeah, exactly. One moment. So I'm not quite sure where Sarah is, but anyway, so we've got Rivka here on the hidden in the background on the chat, but she needs to leave early-ish. So forgive her when she runs off halfway through. But in the meantime, let's start. Let's start. 1 second. Let me bring up my screen. Can people see my screen here?
Hi, Shmuel.
Oh, you're here.
Yes, sorry about that. We had two cameras set up, and the program wasn't reading either of them.
Okay, good. Okay, welcome. So I kind of gave you an introduction already, but just very quickly, Sarah and I together began Diamond Images Photography about, 18 years ago now?
Yeah.
Are you still there? I can't see you.
I am, but it's, yeah.
Technical issues. Okay, so we're going to start. Sarah and I will I'm going to essentially interview Sarah. We're going to schmooze like in the middle a little bit, but we'll start going through the pictures. Like I said, there was less of a turnout today, so we'll try and spend maybe a drop more time on each picture. But let's jump in. So this was who was it who asked me to do this? Leia Kalmus asked me to look at her picture first because she was running away. So this is actually a picture from this is my nephew, Shashay Rinkov, at his bar mitzvah. So are you there?
Yes, I'm just connecting Alhuti, so hopefully this will be better.
Okay.
I can hear you.
That's fine. Even it's not so necessary.
Here we go.
If you're not with the camera anyway.
You see me?
I can see you now. Yeah. Okay.
There we go.
Good. Okay. So look, Sarah is a very experienced event photographer. You also do portraits as well, yeah, and commercial stuff. What's your forte, would you say? What's your biggest expertise as a photographer?
In the last, let's say, 8 years, I've been in the bar mitzvah sector. Chutznikim that come from the Reform and traditional communities in America and England that go to the Kotel. Events. As well as
how much like actual portrait photography do you do, not connected to the events, like just actual portrait photography?
That's more on the side. I would say maybe 30%.
But the thing about event photography is that it always encompasses a strong element of portrait photography. So
that's the first part.
Exactly. Any event photographer is always needs to be a strong portrait photographer as well. Okay, so look, Sarah, pipe up as well. You're more than invited to give us your thoughts. So my initial thoughts on this picture is it's nicely converted to black and white. It's punchy. Composition, I chopped off a little bit of the edge. You'll notice a very important part of the composition here is this dude in the background with the camera. That adds a really strong element, strong direction to the right, which means that we could actually crop this in further. As it is, it's a little bit unbalanced in my opinion, so I would crop in maybe not that much, maybe a drop less, something like that. That gives a little bit more of a balance. I think it'd be a little bit better if you were able to get up a little bit higher, but I do understand that might have been difficult. Sarah, thoughts?
The video is coming in and out. So
What of my? Don't worry
I'm
about your
still
video.
waiting
That's
to see the
fine.
screen.
You can
No,
see.
no, no, I can't see your screen yet.
Ah, okay. So anyway, Leia, this is well done. In short, it's a good picture. Are you using Flash? I hope you are. You're not. It doesn't look like you are using Flash. You're 400 ISO. So a picture like this indoors, you really do need to be using Flash, but it looks like you've got away with it without Flash. So I would probably pump up my ISO to 800 and be shooting at 500 of a second. But saying that, you did really well. Good pictures. Well done there. Good stuff. Okay, Yocheved, younger. Okay, this is nice. It's a drop overexposed. So you could have dropped down. Well, the stats really are actually pretty wacky. In fact, all of these stats are pretty whacked out. ISO is too high. No need to be at 1000 ISO. There's no need to be at 3200 of a second, and there's no need to be at 3.5. You should be at the widest ISO out. The way we teach in the masterclass is that your ISO should be at 200. Okay, that's the default ISO when you're outdoors. You should open your aperture to the widest it goes, which would be 1.8. Widest meaning the widest that will still allow you enough depth of field to make sure that your subjects or the people in the picture are going to be sharp. And then you can manipulate your shutter speed after that. So these stats are really a little bit wacky. You're shooting in aperture priority. Okay. Otherwise, the pose is quite cute, nicely placed in between the in these lines here, which is great. This area here is a little bit distracting. Okay, and it's cute. I mean, it's cute the way he's holding the Sefer Torah, but like I said, a little bit overexposed. So take away a bit of exposure. But well done. Okay, that's cute. Sorry, that's well done. The stats for indoors, I'm not sure what aperture your lens is, but ideally you should be using a wider aperture. It's a very lovely moment. The camera hasn't dealt very well with the high ISO. I'm just wondering if this is what camera this is. If it's like a telephone or something, I'm not sure. But it's a very lovely tender moment. In my opinion, it's not a professional picture in that. Although it is a professional picture, is like to a lot of, according to like what most people would say, it's nicely cropped in, it's good composure, etc. But a picture like this, for me, really needs to be lit powerfully with flash. Like this kind of picture would be a whole different world if you had an off-camera flash coming this way, and you just were able to just light up the Zayd's profile, or an off-camera flash coming up this way, and you were just lighting off the baby's face, and the Zayd's face was a bit more in shadow, or there was some directional light on his face from this side or from the other side, etc. But that kind of level, that kind of sophistication for the photography takes it to a whole new level. So as it is, the actual composition is very nice with this lovely strong triangle. You've got energy moving this way, energy moving this way, energy moving this way. So you've got this really long, this really strong triangle. Nothing is taking our attention outside of the triangle. And it's a very beautiful, delicate, like tender moment. But the like I said, like light-wise, it's very kind of standard, and you could push a lot further if you had access to external flashes, basically. But otherwise, well done. Okay, Rifki Diamond. Okay, this is great. Sarah, what do you think?
I think it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Definitely, you've got you're on the third.
Yeah.
You've got a nice depth of field in the background. You've got these leading lines that are taking you into the distance, creating a lot of nice perspective. Definitely the expression of little boys engaging you into the photograph.
Absolutely. Beautiful. How sharp is it? Sharp-ish. It's actually not. It's actually it looks like the camera wasn't held totally steady. Oh, maybe no. I'm not sure if you just missed the focus a little bit. It looks like you actually got a teeny bit of motion blur here. I think a couple of ways of improving this picture, Rifki, is that if you were to have gone up a little bit higher, the real issue with this picture, in my opinion, even though, like what Sarah said, these lines are excellent, yeah, which I really think they are. The problem is that we've got this massive bland area. This whole area here is just very bland. So look how tasty and how like exciting this area is, and contrast it to how bland this area is. So if we could somehow minimize this area, we would raise up the energy of the image. So all you would need to do is, if you got down a little bit lower, I'm guessing that what's up here is not as bland as what's down here. But if you were to have gotten down a little bit lower, if you can imagine, use your mind's eye, as you get lower, this line will come lower. So are you with me?
Yeah, totally. I was the last thing I was going to say was that his skin is the same color as the stone.
Yeah.
So he's not popping out as much. I mean, what I saw immediately when you came on screen was the blue behind you.
The blue behind me? What? Oh, with
the blue wall behind you is contrasting color to your skin tone, therefore you stick out. So I think it's very challenging when you have a subject that's the same color as Jerusalem stone or whatever this stone is, and then they blend into the background, which is what you're saying, is that you want to get more of that foliage behind him.
You do have the thing is, though, even though the skin is the same color, you have the actual line of his skin is not. If this hair was like tucked behind his ear, then his face would blend into this. That would be a real problem. I'm not. I hear what you're saying. The one thing I think could also make a difference is to add some saturation or some vibrance to the image, just to bring it up a little bit, make it a little bit more exciting. But it could be that wouldn't work. I'd have to see. But definitely, I would be thinking about getting rid of as much of that as I possibly can. Just remember, your picture is as beautiful as the graphics within the picture. The more boring the graphics, the more boring the picture. That's just how it goes. Okay. Who's this? Tzipora. Okay. This is good, Tzipora. I'm not sure. I don't know if you've been to our school, but the stats here are completely whacked out. I'm not quite sure why you're shooting an 18 ISO. I'm not. It's strange with the. It looks like you shot in RAW and you didn't convert it very well. It's a big danger of shooting in RAW. I would probably recommend to be shooting in JPEG in that case, because you do need to do quite a bit of processing with a RAW picture to make sure that it doesn't end up with this kind of noise. You need to do what's it called?
Noise reduction.
The noise reduction, yeah, exactly. So whenever you shoot RAW, you need to do noise reduction. I'm sure that's the reason why you've got this noise. Otherwise, light could be more. I'm assuming you shot with flash. It doesn't say. It says not used, but I'm not sure if that's true, because you might have been using off-camera flash. I'm pretty sure you're using flash. It's a little bit confusing, actually. You see the Sarah look, because you've got lines, you've got shadows this way, but then you've got a shadow over here.
Yeah.
So I'm not quite sure what's going on with the light over here. It looks like you're using two flashes, but definitely be better if there was one flash and we kind of modeled the light a little bit better. But otherwise, it's a nice. I suppose I would also try and make a bigger thing of these scissors. You know, like if you've got props, it's make use of them, and also don't use too many props. Just to use one, like these scissors are great, but then you've got the candle and you've got the suitcase as well. So I think you probably kind of like you kind of stipped a bit too much in there, and you don't end up. It was only like an afterthought that I saw the scissors, so it might be better to try and cut down the use of the props a little bit. Okay.
I think.
Yeah, go on.
I was just gonna say, if you keep the subject away from the background, you can reduce the shadow on the.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so what do you think of that?
It's cute. I definitely think that it's nice to have the sun coming through the boy's hair. You have a nice highlight around his head.
Done well with the light here is really good. For natural light without flash, I think this is really very good light. The one issue is the green tinge on his face a little bit. Very difficult to deal with that. How do you deal with that, Sarah?
And maybe go to like HSL color and bring down the greens.
Yeah, it's difficult. It's very difficult to deal with that, but it's not really such a big deal. The one issue is the stats here, shooting at a 60th of a second is very dangerous. You got away with it, S. Halpern, but there's no need to be at 100 ISO, and you could be at 1.8, which means you could get a much quicker, you could get a quicker shutter speed, and that would be, like I said, you did get away with it, but it's very dangerous to shoot at a 60th of a second. Very dangerous. What shutter speed do you feel comfortable shooting at, Sarah?
Outdoors, I'm usually with flash, so I'm at a 200th of a second.
No, but without flash.
Without flash, 200th. About 200th of a second.
That's the minimum, yeah. I still find that even at a 200th of a second, I would say probably about 40% of the pictures you might not be sharp. Maybe a drop more. I don't like really relax until I'm at like a 400th of a second. That's how I feel without flash. But the composition here is very nice. I think we could do with a teeny bit more room over on this side. We've got this lovely strong triangle over here and energy moving in this direction. Nothing distracting in the background. A good separation between subject and background. Like Sarah said before, this rim light is very nice. So overall, very well done. Very well done. Okay. Who's that? Is that Zeldi or Zadie? Zeldi, I think. Okay. So I think the first thing is that it needs to be a bit more contrasty. Black and white, rarely should you shoot a low contrast black and white shot. Should nearly always be more contrasty. You could put up the contrast, you could put up the clarity. The problem with clarity is it messes up the skin, so you might want to apply clarity with a brush, and definitely a vignette. We can even do that in Picasso, but definitely a vignette in this picture makes a big difference. So, what do you think?
Yeah, you know what? I'm a bit bothered by the manual crops. I'm a stickler for aspect ratio, maintaining the original aspect ratio. So that's distracting me a bit.
Why? Why did you do that?
For printing purposes.
I advise all my students, just because, I mean, we keep the aspect ratio, like to keep things neat generally, but I just feel like nowadays so few people actually print out pictures, and everyone, either people don't print them out, or people like make these, snapfish album kind of things, or that I just don't feel that you need to stick to aspect ratio anymore. Plus you can print stuff in all different orientations. So I just feel like artistic license wise, I just like to give that over to you, because that's what I tell all my students anyway. So say that. I know that I was definitely very strong into aspect ratio like a few years ago. But anyway, so stats are okay. 100 again. It should be 200 ISO. And then I don't know what lens you're using, so I don't know if you can use a wider aperture, but definitely don't need to go down to 100 ISO, and then you can have a slightly quicker shutter speed. And although you did fine, that would be a little bit better. Okay, that's nice.
Okay.
Yeah. So how can we improve this?
Wow. I would really throw in a flash over here.
Yeah, sure. But we can't say that because people here aren't usually, a lot of people aren't holding a flash right now. So without flash. What would you do without flash?
No, I know. I think you're talking about it also. So I would probably go into the shade more. I'm finding a bit of, one second. Oh, there we go. Let me see if I can get to the stats.
Stats at 800th of a second, at 2.5 at 250 ISO.
Okay, well, that's how we're getting the nice shallows up the field. I mean,
You
the back
think
of the
it's
head
too shallow? You think it's a little bit too shallow?
could be. It's hard to make out the faces behind.
Yeah, I think like a teeny. I think it's good. Like you still get like the energy of the kids in the background, but it might be an idea to have a slightly longer depth of field. One thing that is a little bit distracting is his hands being chopped off. You hear that scratch?
Yeah.
Your eyes scratch the edge of the canvas here. So all we need is either a little bit more room here or have him fold his arms a little bit higher. But that's a teeny bit distracting. But the light is beautiful. I think the light coming from the very easy for that to be too much, but I think it worked out okay. But I think this really needs to be what's the word? Sorted out a little bit in Lightroom. Let's see if we can do something here just to clean up the. Let me just bring in everything. Sorry?
The color cast, you mean?
Yeah. Also, just the skin, the softness of his skin is could just basically have the noise taken away a little bit. That might make a difference. You know what would actually improve this problem with the hands is by cropping off a little bit from the top. Very important to remember, everyone, that although we can't add space to an image, by cropping off from the other side, you relatively add space. So that actually makes a little bit of a difference there, to be honest, I think. Where is the picture? Here we go. So I would zoom in. And then I think the first thing I would do is just the noise reduction would probably make a big difference. Yeah. See how much smoother that is?
Right.
And then I would even go, I would definitely now use my brush and I would do a skin soften, which we know I always do is -50 and -25. -50 for texture, -25 for clarity. And then just go over making sure to not touch any lines. And this should just give us a much nicer smooth. It's important to remember that skin softening is not just about bad skin. It's also about like blotchy light as well. It also, it works out blotchy light. So I think that's made quite a big difference. And then I'm going to also just do a quick iris enhance as well. Why not? While we're here. Even though his eyes are small, it still makes a big difference. There we go. And I'm going to do one more thing as well. I'm going to just do a big splodge on his face and just brighten up his face. Just there we go. And one more little thing as well, which is going to make a difference, is I'm going to add some clarity to his hair. That's a drop much, but we can just drop that down a little bit. Okay. Let's just have a look where we went from here to here.
Nice. Wow, it makes a difference. It really does make a difference.
Makes a big difference, yeah. Exactly. One of the things that it did in this picture is because this picture is very much a double kind of picture. Yeah, so we've got him and we've got them. Obviously, he is the Ica. How to say Ica? He is the
Main player.
yeah, he's the main thing, and these guys in the back are secondary, obviously. So really what we want to do is we really want to make him as much Ica as we possibly can, as much main, as much, what's the word for Ica in Hebrew, in English? Good word for Ica. The main thing. Anyone shoot out a lot? We usually get a
Become
thing.
translingual.
You'll get a whole stream of people. There's a 15-second delay on the chat, but the focal point, focus, and you get a whole slew of people giving me translations. The primary, I think primary is the one. Anyway, but the thing is that when we've got primary and secondary in a picture, we never ever want the primary to be compromised by the secondary. So we always want the primary to be as primary as possible and the secondary to be as secondary as possible, because otherwise they can just distract from each other. You with me? So that's what we did there. Basically, from here we basically pushed him forward to make him a bit more primary. Okay, but well done. This is really nicely done, Toby. Good stuff. Okay. Oh, this is Esty Sterling. 1 second. The coloring looks terrible, so I think sometimes it's a problem with my Picasa. And is that the problem? Let's have a look. Yeah, look at the difference. Wow, that's really beautiful, Esty. Very well done. At 1/250th of a second, 2.5 at 100 ISO. Now I don't know if you're using flash here. It doesn't look like you are using flash to me. I'm pretty sure you're not using flash. So I would say that although it's a beautiful picture and you did really well, it could be a little bit sharper because of your shutter speed. Let me just see if you're using flash. No. It could be a little bit sharp with your shutter speed. So you're never gaining. There's not on your camera, SD, with a 5D Mark III. There's literally zero difference between 100 ISO. Let me ask you. Sorry, you've got a Mark III, haven't you? A Mark IV?
I got the Mark III and the R6.
So with the Mark III, how would you fill in this blank? 100 ISO is basically the exact same thing as,
I don't know, 1,000.
Yeah, you think so? I agree with you. I think even going up to that, but I don't even blink until I get to like 1600. It's not even in my mind that I'm using like a high ISO. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
After 600, 2000, then you can see a difference. But the difference between 100 and 200 and 400 and 800 is so nothing that you've got nothing to gain by using a 2/50th of a second. It makes sense to be using a much quicker shutter speed and a high ISO. Not that you got so badly stung by it at all, but just that would be the best option, I think. The actual composition, I think, is lovely. 1 second. And the color's beautiful, and you've really beautifully you've created this beautiful frame in the foreground, which is lovely as well. Lovely balance, lovely composition, energy moving in this direction, like this lovely strong triangle where you've got all these different energies going around in the triangle, nothing distracting us, hitting the edge of the canvas as well. So overall, really well done. Beautiful. Okay, Sar, what do you think?
Wow, that's a real contrast.
Mm-hmm.
I think you've got to really keep in mind when using these like geometric shapes to hold symmetry at the forefront of your mind. So I'd really put him more central in the middle.
100% agreed. He should be over here.
And somehow balance out those pawns and the, what do you call them? the pawns on one side and the horses.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Also, a slightly a wider aperture. I don't know if you can go with a wider aperture or go further back and zoom in. But the background's quite sharp here, which definitely doesn't add anything. It distracts a little bit. But overall, nicely done. Okay, onward. That's beautiful. Yocheved, that's really beautiful. That's really special.
Very nice.
Stats. Okay, everybody, let me send out a poll. 1 minute. Stats. Good. Bad. or perfect? So you hold on to your. I'll tell you, everyone. The stats are a 1/320th of a second at f2 at 320 ISO. We've got 50% good, 50% perfect. Oh, 66% good, 80% good, 20% perfect. What would be perfect then for everybody who said good? How can we make this better? What's the problem here? Is there a problem? So what do you think of these stats?
I think they're pretty good.
How could
Again,
they
you
be
would tend to, speed up the shutter speed to make sure that you've got pin sharp focus, especially since you're shooting at f2.
I think they're basically perfect. 50 minutes, like 3/20th of a second is good. You could go up high in your ISO. I agree with you, Sarah. I think you're up to 500, 640, and you could use a quicker shutter speed. But they're still pretty, if they're not perfect, they're pretty close to perfect. Okay, so well done, everyone. One moment to chat. Yeah. The actual composition though is beautiful. The actual composition here is really exciting. These long lines here. Then we've got this shape over here with these the fact that the heads are both kinked in opposite directions creates this kind of triangle, this implied triangle, which goes with this triangle here and this triangle here. This is a real, I could write a thesis on this composition. That's a very complicated, but at the same time, very striking composition. Very well done, Kevin. Really, I think really special. Also, the light as well is beautiful on the kids' faces. Really special. Could maybe brighten them up a little bit, and maybe emphasize the eyes. But overall, I think that's really, really well done. Big thumbs up. Okay, onward. That perfect moment, Adina Rosenberg. Okay, that's cute. It's a nice moment. Light's lovely. One thing that is distracting is that your subjects in the background, the context subjects, the secondary subjects, are overlapping the subject. That's nearly always a big mistake, because what happens now is that they actually start distracting you from the subject. The minute something's overlapping with the subject, they become more prominent than they should be. So we've got this gorgeous face with it's lit beautifully. It's cropped in with it's pin sharp, lovely expression, very striking, very engaging. The little guys in the background, if they were just a little bit further away, so he just started over here and she was over here, and there was a little space between them, that would add a little bit to this picture. Any thoughts, Sarah?
Yeah, I would say the same, is that I want all my focus and all my energy to be on that foreground. So to give that breathing room to the right of her would give you a lot more differentiation between the foreground and the background subjects.
Yeah. To isolate the subjects.
Yeah, definitely. If you open up the aperture a little more, that could also help.
But the problem with that would be you don't want to get them to become too blurry, because then you'd just have blobs as opposed to people, It's a balance.
Yeah, but they're not really adding to it because of their expressions.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. They're a little bit like grumpy. Okay.
One of these things is not like the other.
Let's keep going. Okay. That's nice. Go on, Sarah.
Yeah, no, I think that like the blue's really jumping out at me. I wonder if she brightened up the eyes.
I think what loses you a little bit is the overexposure over here. If that was, it'd be difficult to do this, but if this green, sorry? What, Sarah?
No, nothing. I was just laughing. You're right. Unless you copy the background.
Yeah, but maybe it could be if Yao had moved this way a little bit, then I don't know what's over here, but that would pop out this way. So just whatever you can do about it or not, that's a whole different question. But this overexposure is definitely bringing down the energy of the picture. Remember, it's very important to remember, if ever you have a black or a white space in your picture, a lot of the energy falls out through that hole. Okay, it's a really important thing to keep in mind. It really is. So the rule of background that we teach is comparable exposure and, if possible, different color. Yeah, that's the two rules for background: comparable exposure, if possible, different color. Comparable exposure basically on 1 foot basically means if you're not using flash, you're not allowed to have sky in the background, because nearly always, unless you have like bright sunlight coming onto your subject, the sky is going to be overexposed. That to the side, the actual pose is very cute. A cute little boy with a nice expression. The stats are fine. Okay, you've done well with the focus. A teeny bit forward focus. Excuse me, but not enough to make, to upset us too much. Nice light on his face, so well done. I think I would probably crop in a little bit closer here. Maybe something like that. I'd put, to the truth is, I'd probably have shot this in the first place, more something like that.
Sure.
Yeah,
that's why I'm really so staunch about the aspect ratios, to give that breathing room to have a proper landscape shot.
Yeah, no, I mean, for sure, like in a lot of cases that's necessary, for sure, 100%. That's nice, Drazy. The light is beautiful, really nicely placed. Again, it looks to me like you are shooting in RAW, and you are not converting it properly. I'm telling you, for those of you who are shooting in RAW, I know everybody tells you have to shoot in RAW, and if you don't shoot in RAW, you're the worst person in the world and you don't deserve to live and all that kind of stuff. Do you shoot in RAW?
I'm just finally turning over. It's taken me a long time.
Why are you turning over?
It's the industry standard, number one. Number two, you retain all the information, which means that you can really do something amazing with RAW, because you've got every piece of detail and information in that file. And if you're working for, the commercial world, then...
Oh, in the commercial world, you have to, yeah.
It's an absolute must. Just in terms of...
I definitely would not say it's an absolute must. I definitely would not say it's an absolute must. But in the commercial world, people expect you to shoot in RAW. But in the, I'm still a big fan of shooting in JPEG. I know people get some guy got so upset with me on YouTube like the other week, and I just I'm used to it now, and I just said to him, like, have you ever shot in JPEG? And he was like, no, why would I? I said, do you understand how versatile JPEG is nowadays in 2022? He's like, nah, you're teaching people. I was just like, oh, okay. Well. So anyway, but look, this picture, Drazy, when you do shoot in RAW, if you do want to shoot in RAW, which I think is necessary only about 5% of the time, if that, but please make sure that you're going to do the right processing so that you're not just shooting yourself in the foot. And giving yourself a low quality, noisy image. But the actual picture, I think, is very striking. We've got this rim light is excellent, a lovely separation between background and subject. The stats are fabulous, perfect, absolutely perfect. I'll probably crop in a little bit, to be honest. Just leave a drop more room on the right side.
I'm seeing some haze on the bottom from the sun flare.
Yeah.
Maybe put a drop of haze in there.
Yeah. But overall, well done. I have a very striking image. A nice expression as well. Okay. That's cute, Hindi. Well done.
Really nice.
Yeah, that's nice. It's also that you've got an intelligent formation with your kids here. A triangle, which is great. Walking down the path, which is very good. I mean, if you got down a little bit lower, you would minimize the ugly concrete a little bit, which might add something, but I'm just being very kind of picky there. But otherwise, well done. Stats, It could be at 1.8. Don't think there'd be a problem being at 1.8. Give yourself a slightly quicker shutter speed, but otherwise very well done. That's good. So, any thoughts?
Yeah, you know what? The color is beautiful as well. I mean, the leaves and the outfits. That's really nice symmetry. You've got the good placement of the subjects. You got the shorter ones on the outside and the ones in the middle. Nice movement and energy.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm running along with them.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. Okay. Brocha, that's lovely.
Great.
50mm 2.2. What do people think of the stats here?
That's a man.
Oh, 1 second. One moment. Let me just put up my poll again. Reset poll. Start poll. Okay, everybody, what about these stats? Good, bad, or perfect? Remembering, important point here is that although it's 2.2, Brocha is shooting with a 80D, which is a crop frame camera. So what do we think of the stats for this picture? Good, bad, or perfect? Good, bad, or perfect? I just saw in the chat, by the way, people asked if they could leave more pictures, but I'm sorry, you can't. No. Upload them in time next time. Sorry about that. But anyway, so we've got 50-50, good, bad, or perfect. I would say at 2.2 with a crop frame camera, this is fine. To be shooting 2.2, the full frame camera would be a big mistake. But for a crop frame camera, it's fine. Everyone's sharp. The light's beautiful. The stats are great. That's really great. I think the stats are perfect, to be honest. And we've got a lovely background here. I'll tell you the one thing that is annoying me a little bit is this ugly bit of grass over here. It's just so important to remember that your picture, the beauty of your picture, is dependent on the beauty of your graphics. So this is about nearly a 10%, nearly 10% of the frame. And that would be it would be better if it was just bright green or something like that. Like we could show you that in 1 minute. Oh, anyway, what do you think of the pose, Sarah?
I think the pose is great. It's nice and tight. You've got definitely great expressions. You've got nice triangles. Everybody's nice and central, hands in.
Yeah, just really good. This line is great. This line is great. But this has got a beautiful line all the way around the composition. Really special. Faces nice and close to each other. Everything. That really strong professional posing, Brocha. Big thumbs up. Good stuff. Onward. Okay. Nahami, that's lovely. Okay. I would bring his face a teeny little bit forward, chin down a teeny little bit, and maybe straighten his head up as well. I'm not sure. I'd need to see it. But the general key to posing women is this S line, and men, we want a straight line. That's generally the pose. Okay, with little boys, it's a good idea to also do the S line. But for men, generally want a straight line. So I'd need to see, but I would definitely, also think about having him with with his head straight, but beautifully isolated from the background. A beautiful line is a good separation from background and subject. The light is also very good.
Yeah. Lighting is gorgeous.
Yeah, and stats are absolutely perfecto. Very, very good, Nahami. Well done. Okay, Rivka, that's nice. Maybe the coloring is funny. Let me look at this in Lightroom. 1 minute. Is that better than in here? Yeah, a little bit. Are you using Flash? I must be the only photographer in the world who uses Picasso and shoots in JPEG. That's so amateur of me. But anyway, This is nice. I like the composition. Very soft, delicate pose, nicely wrapped. The hand popping out is nice as well. Light. The light on the face is very confused. I'm not even sure if you're using flash. I don't think you are using flash. Did I even look at that? But it would definitely be nicer if there was a flash move. We had a cleaner light. There's a little bit, the shadows on the forehead, under the nose, around the lower chin area, etc. But the energy, the direction moving in this way works well. So overall, that's good. Textures are nice. You've created a separation between the subject and background, even though they've got similar colors. We've got different textures, so that keeps the separation. So well done. Any comments, Sarah?
I would maybe use a contrasting color a little bit.
Yeah.
Just especially because their skin tone is so similar. So I would maybe try a different colored rug.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. Even though, I mean, my point was though that that Rivka managed to pull out a contrast, even though she was still using the same colors. Okay, onward.
Nice.
Honey Krantz. Okay. Good. The issue here, I think, is that we need more room for expression on this energy here. Got strong energy moving this way, but we get our eye gets kind of cramped in there, so we can crop in a little bit like that. Maybe that gives it a little bit more breathing room. Stats are perfect, absolutely perfect. Nice expression. Pin sharp. Ooh, be very, very careful about the hairs, honey. Sarah, how crazy do you drive yourself in regards to hairs?
I do my absolute utmost to bring a blow dryer with me and blow those away.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Definitely, I've come upon a couple columns that I wished I saw that
I drive
beforehand.
myself nuts over hair. It's just so, because you think, oh, you can just Photoshop it away. It is not simple to Photoshop hairs out of people's faces. Not simple at all. So be very, very, drive yourself nuts over it. It's worth driving yourself nuts over it. Anyway, okay. Portugal, Esther. So that's really just a snap. It looks like with a telephone or something. Compositionally, I would think about going panoramic just to add some kind of interest. Otherwise, it's there you go, something like that. Okay, as it is, that's got a nice kind of energy to it. Okay, higher. What's going on here? This is the famous placing the hat on the table picture, Sarah.
I was trying to figure out what's going on there.
Don't you always try to get that picture? So
I haven't actually seen that. It's usually probably I'm not there yet.
No, I'm not quite sure what's going on here. Like, it looks like, I'm not sure. It could be like something actually quite important is going on, but I don't know. So it could be that it would be something important to the boys. Maybe it was like someone's hat or something. I don't know. But it's a little bit irrelevant, I think, for a regular person looking at it, assuming that there is some kind of personal relevance. Compositionally, it's okay. Cropped in close, which is nice. Just a bit random, just a bit like, do you know what I mean? Like, not, I don't know really what I'm looking at. I'm not quite sure what we're seeing here. You with me, Sarah?
Yeah. No, I thought you were trying to point out something that was going on that I didn't know about.
No, I just to me, it's like something's going on, but it's not clear to the viewer what's going on. So you just end up, it just becomes like a picture that you just can't be bothered with, and you just kind of flick through. But it's nicely cropped and it's well exposed. So good one on that. Let's keep going. Okay, that's
great.
good. Esther Gittel. That's beautiful. So the stats at 6.3. I mean, I'm assuming you're in a studio, so that's fine. You've done quite an intense skin soften. That could go either way. Like that, a parent could love that or hate that. I'm not sure. I think it's quite nice. Very intelligent lighting, a very subtle shadow, but very soft. Nice intelligent depth. I think the background. This is a very professional, really professional portrait, studio portrait of this little boy.
You could even maybe give it a drop of a vignette to really make him pop.
I think that it has been vignetted. Maybe you could strengthen it a little bit, but it's got a nice. The background's nice, in that there's a brighter background behind him, which he really pops out beautifully. And I love the energy, because we've got this strong triangle, and we've got energy moving this way. However, we've got a lot of space over here. But in this case, I think this really works because his eyes are coming straight to us. So we do have an energy that way, but we have an energy coming straight towards us as well. And then I think it creates a little bit of tension, the fact that we've got the energy going to the short side. And I think that just kind of tips it. Do you hear what I'm saying, Sarah? Gives it that little bit of edge.
Yeah.
Goes with the
Definitely.
color as well. Hmm?
The interest is in the shadow, so it's kind of like taking a back seat.
What do you mean?
Meaning, you're saying that to the left of him is the short side.
To camera left. This is short. There's more space over here than over here, but we've got energy moving in this direction. So usually we want energy moving into the bigger space, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
In this case, because there's a kind of tension with the smile and with the payers, and there's a kind of a quirky tension that having our subject, having the energy bang into the edge of the canvas kind of prematurely creates a little edge, like a little kind of emotional edge that I think really adds to it. I think it's a great shot. I think it's really well done. Onward. Okay. Hi, Julie. This is nice. Be careful with having a tree in the background, okay? Either have it all tree or all green. I mean, I know the green is a tree, but to have this like multicolored background, it just becomes a little bit distracting. So it'd be better to just, if you just had them shuffle over just a teeny little bit in that direction. Oh no. Oh, wait. No, I've done something annoying with my computer. 1 minute. No. Okay. If you just had them move over a little bit in that direction and then have the whole background filled with green, that would probably add a little bit to the picture. Also, stats, a 5000 ISO is, well, it is unacceptable, but that is amazing, isn't it? 5000 ISO. How much better, how good that is, no?
Wow. Which camera is it?
ISO is a D3-400. It's not a particularly high level camera, but really that is impressive for the ISO. Wow, okay. Okay, Bayla, what do you think of this, Sarah?
I think it's got great posing. There's definitely potential here. You've got some nice triangles. I think that the positioning of the flashes could be worked on. I'm losing the tall girl. Right there. She's being covered in shadow by the gingy one in front.
Yeah, absolutely. That was the main thing that I was seeing, 100%. Otherwise, I think it's beautiful, but that could be remedied in Lightroom, though, to be honest. That really could be. 1 second. Let's just see. That should be there already, no? 1 minute.
I'm just watching the chat box. It's nice to see some previous students.
I can never follow the chat and be with the pictures at the same time. It's a man thing. Yeah, I would just raise. Yeah, I think that basically did it. that was really all we needed.
Nice.
Yeah, that was the issue. That was the issue for sure, in my opinion. Okay, let's just finish this one and then we'll talk for a minute. 1 minute. Let me just open this in Lightroom. Yeah, look at the difference in the color between Picasso and
wow. Okay, we love Lightroom. Thank you, Adobe.
Yeah. So this is very beautiful. I mean, the pose is lovely. Again, like what I've said to a lot of people now, is just be aware of rubbish graphics. This is rubbish graphics. So the more you can minimize that, the better. So if you could get lower down, or if you could move more over to your right and then get more of this in the background or whatever it is, but I can't stress how important it is. The more rubbish the graphics, the more rubbish the picture. The lower level the graphics, the picture is degraded. So otherwise, it's very beautiful. What are the stats? Stats are great. Stats are very good. But like I said, that degrades it. Any thoughts, Sarah?
I think if you got lower down as well, you could probably get more of a background that's greener. I see in the top right above the little girl, there's some sky peeking through. But if you turned a little bit toward, like turned them to their left a bit, you could maybe reveal more of that tree.
Yeah.
To get some bigger frame that was something other than beige.
Agreed. Yeah, 100%. Okay, let's take a break from the editing from the critiquing for a minute. Stop sharing, and then we are just. Is everyone seeing us here? Okay. So go on. How are you doing?
Oh, fabulous, Baruch Hashem. How are you?
I'm hanging in there. What's gone on over Corona for you? What's happened? What happened to your business over the past couple of years?
Wow, a lot of reinventing of myself, my business. Having to kind of redefine who I am, what it is that I'm looking for. I think that was, in general, COVID's message to everybody. And definitely when you see that business is shot, you've got to figure out, so what can I offer? A lot of my main clientele were the chutznikim, as I was mentioning in the beginning.
Say in English, but make sure you speak in English.
English. My main clientele were the foreigners,
the Anglo,
the Americans, Canadians, Brits that were coming from the more reformed traditional communities, and that had become my niche for a while. And as the skies closed down, so I had to turn to the skies and open up. And I saw myself putting a lot of energy into video, which was my first love, was film production. That's where I started out in film school before we met, just a year before we met. And that's been a very exciting exploration. I started a YouTube channel, 2-minute tips. And I started doing, what is it?
You still do that?
It's been on the back burner, but I'm bringing them back soon. Just had a baby about 6 months ago, and I've been slowly, thank you, slowly getting back into things. But video promo.
How many children do you have, Sarah? Do you mind me asking?
Yeah, sure. 3 blind her.
How old's your oldest?
7 years old.
Wow. And how do you balance your work as a professional photographer and as a full-time mum?
So it's a challenge. It's a very big challenge. And I can't say I'm always on top, but I think you have to be really honest with yourself to know what you can handle and what you can't handle. And I think you're with me here. As you get older, I feel like my barometer is kind of a little more blatant. I know, like, when I'm about to fizzle out. So,
so how do you
yeah.
actually logistically, like Lamaisa, how do you actually? You have like everything is it's like what's the word you discern in every different situation, or you've got like klalim and you've got like different principles in place or whatever.
In terms of what work I take on and what work I don't take on?
Yeah, like how do you determine whether you can? Because also the work is always months in advance, so you never know like what's going to be, and you know what I'm saying?
True. Yeah, true. You know what? I think Hashem's always been good to me, and I think that that's the most important thing. That everybody has to find themselves in terms of how much bitachon and how much is how much we trust where our parnasa, our work is coming from, and how much to take on. Like, it's definitely seasonal, but I'd say my principle is I wouldn't take on more than 5 weddings a month, let's say. Probably even less, because I know that as a mother, especially with a newborn, I cannot be out for 10 plus hours more than once a week. When we were working together back in the day, I was single. Weddings were a party. I could do 3-4 a week, and it was no problem. I could sleep in the next day. But as a mother with children, got to be up, sometimes at the crack of dawn when you're coming back from a wedding. It's just not. It's not healthy. It's not realistic.
Yeah, it's not healthy. That's 100%. So you have like that. What about in regards to the portraits and the mitzvahs and stuff like that? How are you dealing with it before COVID hit? You use babysitters, or you have home help, or your husband helps out? What happens?
So mostly babysitters. My husband's home later at night, and he's definitely really helpful. But that happens after 7:30. So getting babysitters, every mother knows, is a massive headache.
Yeah.
And
in our house now, we've got built-in babysitters. That's great.
I feel like by the time my little one is going to be a babysitter, I don't know if I'm going to be having babies again anymore. That's not up to me. That's up to the Rebbeinu Shalom.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I've gotten more into teaching over the years, because it's like normal hours.
Do you think you could run it if let's say you were a portrait photographer, no events? You think it'd be much easier?
Definitely, but at least where I live and in the community that I am, and I just decided in the summer, especially after we spoke, just to can the social media, just get rid of it. I think the portrait business is so saturated. So it's very hard to make a business of just portraits here.
In Israel.
Yeah.
So I still feel like you're absolutely right, but also, everything else is saturated as well. And if you can just lift it, like what we do with our students with our AMP course. We have this AMP course, Accelerated.
You mentioned it a little bit.
It's like a high level course where we take our students who've learned how to be good photographers in the masterclass. It's like an invitation only course. People we feel we can really help, build a really good business. And like what you said is true, that it's saturated, but with a few poignant tips and pieces of advice, we found over and over that our students can lift their head up a teeny bit higher than the rest of the crowd, and it can really catalyze. Like, all you need to do is be able to lift your head up a little bit higher than everyone else. Do you know what I'm saying? And then it can actually, because it becomes so kind of standard, that if you can raise yourself a little bit up with the quality of the photography, or with your customer service, or with your clarity of of packages, or with the what you're offering, the bang for your buck, or whatever it is, that's giving you that USP, that unique selling point, you can actually lift yourself a little bit up. And because everything else is so generic, I'm seeing time and time again that even in a saturated market, people can actually build quite successful businesses. I think it's quite amazing. Tove, I was going to ask you also, what do you do to stay up to date with your skills as a top professional photographer? Or do you? Or maybe you don't?
Definitely. I mean, I'm online all the time. I think that as a teacher, especially, like, I have a real responsibility to my students to keep up to date. And some photographers actually I've picked up from, we have a WhatsApp group of Anglo photographers. So I'm constantly looking there to network with new people and see who they follow. And a lot of the different resources that I teach to my students, I'm constantly reading up on. Jared Poland has become my raw file format, if I can borrow the term, Rebbe. He's actually Canadian. He wears a shirt that says "I shoot raw."
Yeah, I know. I wear a shirt that's just white. And I don't care what I shoot in. As long as I get the job done. I think that's an important thing, to not have your thing,
Yeah.
To be able to like duck and dive with if you need raw, you shoot raw. But to not have it become like an identity. Like he's the king of that, no? That's his whole thing.
I'm starting to explore what it means, so that I'm not like stuck in one way. That's all.
Yeah. No, I mean, 95% of professional photographers shoot in RAW. 95%.
You think 5%?
No, maybe it's even 98%. That was a few years ago. But I'll tell you one thing that's really interesting is that JPEG has come along so much farther, and RAW is basically as it always has been. But JPEG has become so much more versatile. It's really amazing. But no one knows because no one shoots in JPEG. So no one knows. So, but anyway, that's my own thing. But we're still going that direction. Very good. Okay, thank you. So somebody asked about somebody asked about getting chizuk in editing. What did they say? Yael, you have a real big fan here, Sarah, called Yael.
Yael Goldenberg, she's great.
She's she loves you, Baruch Hashem. Okay. What was it? Somebody said, give me some what would you do to somebody what would you say? I can't find the question now, but what would you say to somebody if they said to me, could you please give me some encouragement and some inspiration in regards to editing? What would you say?
Wow. Look, we live in 2022. I think that sometimes machines, maybe that's like a girl thing or a woman thing, that can be a little bit daunting at first. And I once had a student like that said, I will not touch Photoshop. I'm not good at computers. I've never been good at computers. I touch a button and like the whole thing shuts down, and she stuck with it. And a few months into the course, after she spent a little bit of time with Photoshop, all of a sudden, the world started opening up to her, and her pictures just took on such a different dimension. Mm-hmm. It went from like blah to wow. And she ended up becoming a very successful photographer afterwards, and really started showing me some Photoshop tips that I wasn't even aware of. She was like looking at jewelry and touching up jewelry, which is very, very challenging when you're doing product photography. You have to know, the jewelers have to give you the different colors that you have to input into the image editing. I think that a lot of it comes from, to borrow a term from Rabbi Yom Tov Glazer from Eshet Torah, an inner negative belief. And I think that once we kind of like can work through that, the world is our oyster.
I didn't get that last bit. What did you say?
The world is your oyster.
The world is your oyster. You're saying like the inspiration is that editing is really where it's at in regards to being able to push your pictures to a whole different. That's how you should get your inspiration. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. I just feel like the editing is the final part of the whole process. It's like making a cake and not putting the icing on it. Like, who wants a cake without icing? It's just so much a part of the process. It's like to think that there's the photography and there's the editing. I think it's a little bit broken up. As in, it's not like you think there's the location, and then there's the lens selection, and then there's the settings, and then there's the flash and the flash placement, and then there's editing. There's just photography. It's all one thing. So I see the editing as I shoot nowadays within my, especially for weddings, when I'm doing like whatever for weddings, I'll shoot with editing in mind. Usually for family portraits, you don't do that so much. But the key is it's like a cake without sugar. Yeah. But to keep that in mind is number one. And I was going to say number two is presets. That is the king in Lightroom. I call it my portrait preset, whatever, which I just, whenever I do a portrait job, I just apply this preset to all the pictures. And a lot of pictures, there's nothing left to do. It's literally, and you can just flick through in Lightroom very quickly and it's done. So presets, to have an intelligent base preset with a little bit of softening, a little bit of clarity, a little bit of brightening, a little bit of vibrance, a little bit of contrast, a little bit of a little vignette, whatever, and that becomes your base for all of the pictures. You'll find if you make that preset really good, you'll find that it just cuts down the time, and a lot of pictures you can just quickly flick through as well. So I find that, so two things. Number one is remembering that it's all part of the photography. And number two, that presets help you get rid of the monotony of it as well. Yeah. So anyway, Razy asked, would you be able to tell us in short what the masterclass is all about? Maybe someone on the chat could everyone pipe up and just give Razy a heads up about how good the masterclass is. If you believe it's good, maybe you don't believe it's very good, but generally people think it is very good. But the masterclass basically takes you, as we say, from 0 to pro. It's a 7-week course, and it's been created over so many years and like refined so intelligently that, plus with my like personal interaction. Oh, here you go. Amazing, awesome. Anybody else feel free to say something more. Great. Okay, there'll be all these like nice adjectives. Teaches everything you need to know about photography, the best. So basically, it's a no-nonsense system that starts from the beginning and very quickly builds you this very clear, excuse the pun, picture of photography, and the results just speak for themselves, and that's it. So I would say like this, on one foot, is that the actual course is really put together. It's a really good course. And then the fact that I'm involved in it on the critiquing level as well puts it into like a different, puts it into a different level than what I know of anything else out there. There are other good courses, but to get like actual real time feedback from a photographer, it doesn't happen so much out there in the world. It's you end up paying a huge premium price. So anyway, okay, so can we jump back into the critiquing? We're going to go a little quicker now. 1 second. Here we go. Do we see us? Are we there? Okay, let's go. We're going to go a little quicker. Okay, Bleemy. I would crop like this. Remember the rule of thirds. It's a real rule, okay? Real rule. That is tween and twixt, as I like to say. That's not in the middle and that's not on a third. Whereas that is on a third. Lovely energy moving into the to the space over here, which is the general way we do it. Nicely balanced, nice and sharp. Stats, good, bad, or perfect. I think they're perfect.
Good.
What do you think, Sarah?
Yeah, it looks good. I'm just zooming in now, yeah.
Oh, you can't see otherwise. 1000 at 1.8 at 160 ISO. Very good. Excellent. Okay, well done, Bleemy. That's beautiful.
Wow, that is
very special.
really.
It's like a little doll. Is that a real baby? That looks almost like a doll, no? Gorgeous.
Nice soft.
I think you could soften the face a little bit more. But yeah, I think it's beautiful. I mean, the textures are beautiful. The colors are beautiful. I love this diagonal line as well that contrasts with the circle of the and the circle is broken up with her head as well. That's really intelligent. A lot of really intelligent things going on there. And we've got a good separation between the pink and the background and the actual bucket. Very, very not symmetrical. What's the word I'm looking for? Very. The shapes are very strong. The geometry of the picture is very strong. Well done. Beautiful. A really nice soft light as well. Okay, so what do you think?
I think the posing is strong. You've got, nice connection with the arms around each other. The boy's arm around the little girl's shoulder is kind of bugging me. I think I
put it behind this girl, yeah?
Yeah. I try and hide hands, when I can, especially also the tall girl on the left side. Also, I would put her hand more on his shoulder rather than next to his neck.
Yeah, and just have the fingers showing as opposed to the whole hand.
Okay. Exactly. Yeah. It's like the same thing with babies. When you're posing newborns, also you want to open up their fingers. Just give it a nice open look. But yeah, other than that, it looks,
We can crop in like this. Nice strong triangle. Oh, what happened there? Sorry. Nice line around. But that hand is well placed. He's a little bit random. This arm is a little bit random. But overall, I think very good. Well done. Okay, that's cute.
Nice.
It's a bit. Maybe it's funny in the coloring. 1 minute. Let's see this in. Yeah, look how much better the coloring is there. Wow. Okay, this is nice, Gila. Lovely energy going out into the sea, which is good. Strong lines, nice deep blues. The colors are lovely. The lines here are nice. And a nice strong shape over here. Oh, stop doing that, please. No. Just excuse my computer while he decides to help me out here. Okay. 1 second. Let's just see the stats. Otherwise, stats 200, 3.2 at 1/2000th of a second. Okay, good. Just remember the 6D Mark II maxes out at a 4,000th of a second. So just be careful with that. Otherwise, well done. Okay, that's beautiful. Well done, Hanny.
Wow. She's got a great expression.
Yeah. Not such a strong separation from background and subject. I would like to see a bit more of a bit stronger separation, basically. But the edit is very nice. What's that?
Yeah. No, I feel like it almost looked like she's floating on the background. I don't know if that's a
Yeah,
Photoshop job.
it's a bit weird, isn't it?
Yeah, I feel like she's kind of been cut and pasted.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah.
I
But
don't
the
know.
light is quite nice. What I definitely would do though is I would soften her face and brighten it up a little bit. That would add something. But overall, well done. Very nice. Let's keep going. Okay, Moses Reichman. So, what do you think?
I think the pose is great. The colors are really nice. Maybe I would try to put them on the third. Maybe crop them a bit.
My question is,
Straighten the lines and
why on earth would you use this gate as a background? I would straighten it up, number one, but I just wouldn't use that at all. I just don't think that's. Let's see if we crop in like this. That's quite nice.
Mm-hmm.
That's quite nice. But I would really be looking. The truth is, I mean, I wouldn't think to ever use this, but I think now looking at it, it's not the worst thing in the world. I would probably at 1.8, if you're at 1.8 and increase your shutter speed a little bit, and that got a little bit blurrier, that might add something. I think it's just blur out the lines in the background. But I think the pose is lovely, and the light on their faces is gorgeous. So well done. Onward. Okay, that's beautiful. Well done, Devorah.
Very nice.
Beautiful, nice edit, very subtle Lightroom edit. But this area here on the wall is ugly. Remember, the more ugly the graphics, the more ugly the picture. So, not that you could I wouldn't recommend getting out a scraper and some Economica and trying to scrape it off. But once you're putting her somewhere, you can just put her wherever you want. So you might as well choose the perfect place. So I think that when you've got such a bright airy picture, then you've got this heavy, dark moss over here. That is not doing us any favors. Without that, I think this picture would be absolutely fabulous. With that, I think you've compromised it quite a lot, to be honest. It's pin sharp.
And
that's very good. Little are you with the R6? So you can use the I think you got up to 8,000. What does the R6 go up to, Sarah?
I haven't even explored.
No,
I'm so used to
8,000. 1 second. Max shutter speed R6. It goes up to sync speed. Sorry guys, I will tell you the maximum shutter speed of the R6 is, and it doesn't say. That's helpful. Oh, I don't know. Maybe someone could find out, please. And then
8,000. Yeah, 8,000.
It goes up to 8,000. Very good. Okay. So otherwise, very good. Raw, beautiful. But just be careful of the dark part here. Okay. That's very special, Dina. That's lovely.
That
is lovely. I can't see the stats, but you're in close and you're zoomed out, which is something we generally try not to do. But in this case, I think it works really nicely because we've got that kind of, it's a very dynamic pose with this strong triangle. And having her kind of barrel distorting into the front of the picture, into your lens, I think actually works really well. So that's well done. Can't see the stats, but for the boring kind of graphics over here, I think you've done really well. That's great. Excellent, Dina.
Very nice.
Yeah. Okay, Shayna. This looks like one of your siblings, I'm assuming. Little bit, I can't see the details here, but it looks like you've got a little bit of camera shake, or I think actually you've just missed the focus. I think the problem here is you've put the clarity up a little too high, and it's made the skin a little bit kind of like scratchy, itchy kind of thing. Do you know what I mean, Sarah?
Yeah, zoom in a bit over here.
Oh, a minute, let me just crop in. Oh, look, you can see the snow falling. Do you see the snow?
Yeah.
1 minute, just crop in a teeny bit.
I think maybe even if you crop in a little bit more, because the front that tree is a bit distracting.
Yeah. Thing is, it's gonna. I don't know what will happen with the top over here. Let's see. Yep, that's good. Okay, overall, very well done, Shayna. Lots of lovely energy here. I just think the face is a little bit kind of like scratchy. You know, there's a little bit too much clarity on the face. The flat areas of the face need to be detextured, but otherwise, well done. Good stuff. Okay, Leia, this is it's nice. It's underexposed and it's over vignetted. But really very important is this background is just it's not very attractive. I think you could find a much nicer background somewhere. Much nicer background. I think the pose is very cute. What do you think, Zara?
Yeah, I think they're definitely the energy is nice. It's keeping you engaged.
Just could be taken to the next level by finding a different background, I think. Okay, but overall well done. Okay. Higher. Okay, this is nice. You've done. I think the background's a little bit too much. It's a little bit like it's a little bit too bright. You agree, Sarah? Is that like? Is there something? Is it me, or does it like? Is it a little bit? Not quite sure what's going on there. The energy is great. I think you know what I think the issue is here is that you've softened it. You've done. I know you like this denoising thing, but I think it's become a little too soft. I think it needs a little bit more punch on the lines, like to add a little bit of energy with clarity. Maybe not using the global clarity, but using the local clarity and just painting over the eyes and the payers and the mouths and stuff like that, just to give it that little bit of extra kind of energy in the faces. That's what I think would help with that picture. But well done. Okay, Esty, that's nice. If you'd gotten down a little bit lower, then this line in the background would also come lower. Okay, and then you would have a better separation between our background and subject, which would make a difference. But otherwise, well done.
Nice.
I like the composition as well. I think it's nicely balanced, even though we've got energy moving in this direction. We've also got energy from the shape of her body moving in this direction. And overall, it comes out to be quite nice. Onward, Racheli Kazanovsky. Are you from? Are you the Kazanovskys from? Is it not? You're not from Toronto. You're from New York, no? From whatever. Anyway, I'm sure you're that family. So, what do you think?
I think it's good. I think you've got, nice shape with her, and she's got a nice expression. I think if you got down lower, yeah, that definitely.
Yeah,
that nice.
Get rid of, if you got down low, you'd get rid of this boring space over here. That would definitely add. Yeah, but like you said, very nice, very bold and sharp. Or you've just missed the focus, actually. But still very bold. The exposure is very good. Well done. Onward, Avrami Shapiro.
I think this is that angle is like what we've been trying to suggest with the previous photographs. It's trying to get down low.
Yeah, it gives this little boy a very kind of dominant feel. It's very good for a little boy. For a little girl, it might not be so good, but for a little boy, I think it works well. One thing I would mention is that his head is a little close to this tree over here. if you were to just move yourself a teeny bit that way, just create a little bit more distance over there, that would add a teeny bit to the picture. But well done. That's beautiful. Wechsfam. That is beautiful. That really is. We can brighten it up a little bit more, but I love the contrast of this massive circle contrasted to this strong triangle with another circle over here as well. The edit, I think, is really sophisticated. It might add something if we just cropped in a little bit. Maybe even, I'm just thinking if we cropped off the top of the circle here, that might add something. Let's have a look. Yep, I would go with that as a crop. So you agree with the crop?
It definitely gives it an extra tension.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. What do you think of this? It's beautiful, no?
Let's see back on the third. It's really good. I wonder where she is. She's kind of like in the desert or something.
Yeah. This is like my favorite. I think this is my favorite picture of the day, to be honest. I really like that picture. I think that's well done. Excellent. Gorgeous. Okay, nearly finished. Oh, this is Chaim Freeman, my good friend Chaim. Well done, Chaim. This is a little bit obvious to me, but I think it's still quite good. What I would say, what's really important, the pose is lovely. It's very good, solid photography. You know, we've got that nice line there. We've got an overall nice kind of semicircle here. The background is great, nothing distracting. It's, you know, nice, beautiful images, etc. But the one thing that you should really be trying to find always is framing for the foreground. If you could find somewhere where you have some kind of, you know, foliage, some leaves or some trees or some grass, whatever, to create some kind of framing for the bottom of the picture, it adds so much. I can't tell you, it adds so much. But otherwise, well done. And finally, okay, Sarah, you can take this one away. This is the last picture of the night, and I'm going to get to it. What?
It's 1 second. Let me zoom in. I just want to see their faces. Yeah. Wow. That's a very soft moment. I think the lighting's really nice. Short lighting. You have some nice shadows modeling the face. You've got good connection between the two of them with their arms. Really nice, solid arm shapes and lines. The crop is great.
This hand is nice as well. Keeps you in this way. Really strong composition. Really, I agree with you 100%. The heads, also a nice thing is the heads are tilted. Very important to like cock the heads, that you end up with this implied triangle. It really adds a nice tension to the image. Like you said, the shadows are gorgeous. Really intelligent, sophisticated lighting. A lovely loop light. Just you know, very soft and delicate. And I think in this case, the blending of the subjects into the background, I think in this case, it's very rare that adds something. I think in this case, it really does, just because of the kind of the softness of the whole picture and the delicate kind of depth of the picture. So having them kind of blending into the background, I think adds another level of kind of depth that's not usually, that doesn't usually work. But overall, I think that's fantastic. Okay. We did it. Well, Sarah, it was lovely to have you with us. Let me just bring you onto my screen here. Thank you for sitting with us and for bringing some of your fans with.
Thank you very
much. And otherwise, thank you everyone, as always, for making this, making it what it always is, which is great. And please God, we will see you in a month from now. Okay, maybe Sarah, you'll pop in again next month if you're interested.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. All the best, everyone.
Thank you. Keep shooting.
Yeah, go for it.